Hello, sports fans. It is Monday, November the 2nd, the year 2015. And as always, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Great to be back with you guys. Hope you guys had a fabulous weekend, a happy Halloween, and you watched some of the games over the weekend. Without further ado, let's get to our NFL picks for week number 9 in the league where they play for pay. And let's get right to it. Let's get to the Thursday night game with the Cincinnati Bengals at home in the jungle on -10 against the Cleveland Browns. Cincinnati still perfect on the season. They rallied to beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh yesterday. Cincinnati is doing a tremendous job. Cleveland down to 2-6. They were up 20-7 against Arizona yesterday and fell apart. Arizona wins 34-20. These are two teams going in the opposite direction. I know it's considered a rivalry, the Battle of Ohio. Cincinnati is just better right now. Cincinnati can do no wrong right now. Cincinnati looks like a solid team. I got to go with the Bengals here. I cannot trust the Browns. Their quarterback is now all beat up. I just can't trust Cleveland. They're up 20-7 yesterday, and you blink your eye and they're losing 34-20. Can't trust the Browns, especially on the road. Bengals never lose at home. The home teams on these Thursday games have a major advantage. So I got to go with Cincinnati here. Cincinnati stays perfect. They beat the Browns. Bengals -10 over the Browns is pick number 1 in the jungle. Let's go to the Sunday games. The Green Bay Packers are -3 against the Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Of course, Carolina is undefeated. They play tonight against Indianapolis. We got to see how they look. Green Bay took their first loss yesterday, and they got ambushed in Denver. Denver absolutely smacked them around, pushed them around, beat them up. Denver outgained Green Bay, 500-150. Did you see Rodgers' passing statistics? He didn't get anything done. The Denver defense was all over him. The Denver defense is awesome. They have the best secondary in football. They have the good pass rush. Denver looks like a solid contender, and they smacked around Green Bay last night. I did not like the body language for the Packers last night at all. Listen, it's their first loss. I'll give them a mulligan. It was a road game. They were due to take a loss, but they got pushed around last night. It's a very tough game here. Green Bay 3-point favorite on the road against an undefeated Carolina team. I think Carolina will win tonight. The way Green Bay looked yesterday, I'm going to take Carolina here +3 and grab the home field as well. I didn't like the way Green Bay looked at all yesterday. In Carolina, they can get after you. They have a very physical team. They can get after you on defense. Cam Newton makes a lot of plays. They have a good running game. I'm going to take Carolina here +3 at home against Green Bay. Did not like the way Green Bay played at all yesterday. So Carolina +3 is pick number 2. Pick number 3, let's go up to New England, where the New England Patriots are home -14 against the Washington Redskins. Redskins are 3-4 coming off a bye week. Patriots undefeated again as they just bombed Miami on Thursday night. I thought that game would be a little closer. New England just laid it on Miami. New England, another team that can do no wrong right now. New England, Denver, Cincinnati can do no wrong right now in the AFC. Listen, I know the spread's 14. I have to take New England here. I can't go against them. They scored too many points, and you can never trust Washington. Cousins could throw 3 interceptions. You never know what you're going to get from Washington. You really don't. Washington is so up and down. They're so spotty, and New England puts up points on everybody, especially at home. I know the spread is a bundle. I can see you grabbing the 14 points here. I can't do it. I like taking the teams I think are going to win. I think New England's going to win, so I'll take New England at home. -14 against Washington up in Foxborough. That's pick number 3. Pick number 4, let's go to the Superdome in New Orleans, where the New Orleans Saints are -8.5 against the Tennessee Titans. New Orleans is up to a very respectable 4-4, playing a lot better. Offense playing a lot better. Breeze playing a lot better. They beat the Giants yesterday on the last-second field goal in a wild shootout. Tennessee, they're 1-6, lost to Houston yesterday, and Tennessee has not won since week 1, and Tennessee looks like a dreadful team at this point. You got to go with the Saints here. The Saints look like they have turned the corner. I didn't think the Saints were going to have a good year at all. They've really shown me something the last few weeks. And Tennessee, I mean, come on, they're made to order for the Saints. In the Superdome, I can't take Tennessee on the road. They've lost 6 straight. Just lost to Houston yesterday. We know Houston's not any good. Got to take the Saints here. Saints at home, minus 8.5 against Tennessee in the Superdome. That's pick number 4. Pick number 5, let's go up to Buffalo. With the Buffalo Bills are minus 3 against the Miami Dolphins. Buffalo 3-4 coming off a bye week. Remember they had that horrific loss in London to Jacksonville the week before. Had a long time to stew about that. Miami also 3-4. They got obliterated by New England, after playing well the couple weeks before that. Miami also loses Wake for the year. That's a terrible injury. I'm going to think Buffalo at home. 2 weeks to stew over their loss to Jacksonville and London. Miami looked dreadful against New England. Lost Wake for the year. I'm going to think Buffalo responds here at home. It's time, Rex Ryan. It is time. Put up or shut up. You guys have to win this game at home and get to 4-4. Have to win this game. I'm going to say Buffalo responds. Beats Miami at home. I like Buffalo minus 3 against the Dolphins up in Buffalo. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6, let's go to Minnesota. Here's a very interesting game where the Minnesota Vikings are 2.5-point favorites over the St. Louis Rams. Vikings, a very respectable 5-2. I told you they'd be a decent team this year. Rallied to beat Chicago yesterday. St. Louis 4-3. They're another decent team. They beat up San Francisco yesterday. This is a very, very, very interesting game. I told you all year I like Minnesota at home. Minnesota is home here. They're only giving up 2.5. I think this is a field goal game either way. I'm going to say the Vikings eke it out by 3. If you like the Rams, I couldn't argue with you. This is a very, very interesting game. This is a game you might want to keep an eye on Sunday. But I'm going to take the Vikings at home to eke it out over the Rams. Minnesota minus 2.5 against St. Louis up in Minnesota. Very interesting game there. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, not too far from here, with the New York Jets on minus 2.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jets down to 4-3. They've lost a couple in a row, and they got carved up by the Raiders yesterday. Looks like Fitzpatrick is hurt. Now you're going to get Geno Smith at quarterback. Jacksonville 2-5 off the bye week. They did win in London the week before against Buffalo. Spread's only 2.5 here. I mean, I know the Jets have, issues at quarterback, but I think the Jets, after a couple of bad performances, coming back home are going to be able to beat Jacksonville. I mean, I would hope so. I mean, the Jets really need to win this game. I think they can handle Jacksonville in their own building. I think the Jets defense will play a lot better because they got carved up by the Raiders yesterday. I like the Jets to get back to their winning ways and beat Jacksonville in the Meadowlands. Jets minus 2.5 at home against Jacksonville. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8. Let's go to Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Steelers are minus 5.5 against the Oakland Raiders. Pittsburgh has now lost a couple in a row. They are 4-4. Had a heartbreaking loss to Cincinnati yesterday. They were winning for much of this game. Roethlisberger had 2 bad interceptions in the fourth quarter. Looks like he was a little rusty. Now the Steelers lose Bell for the year. I mean, the Steelers just cannot get healthy. Oakland up to a very respectable 4-3. Like I just mentioned, they carved up the Jets. The Oakland offense is really starting to do some things. Carr at quarterback looks solid. They have the good receivers. Oakland doing a really nice job. Considering the Steelers lost Bell for the year and Roethlisberger looks a little rusty and the Raiders are playing a lot better, I think the spread is a little high. I think this is going to be a close game. So I'm going to take the Raiders here plus 5.5 in Pittsburgh to at least keep it close. So I'll take Oakland plus 5.5 in Pittsburgh. Close game. That's pick number 8. Pick number 9. Let's go down to Tampa Bay with the New York Giants on minus 2.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Giants are down to 4-4 after they lost to New Orleans yesterday at the gun. We'll see about Pierre-Paul. The Giants signed him. He's got that hand problem. We'll see if he gets on the field. We don't know how he's going to play once he gets on the field, but the Giants need a pass rush in the worst way. Their defense was atrocious yesterday. I got to give Tampa Bay a little credit. They're 3-4. They go on the road yesterday and beat Atlanta. And remember, Tampa Bay blew a huge lead last week to Washington. If they didn't blow that lead, they could have a winning record. And considering how they started the year when they got blown out by Tennessee at home, I got to give Tampa Bay credit. They're playing hard. Winston looks like he has a lot of ability. I have to give Tampa Bay credit. Having said that, I still can't pick them. I got to go with the Giants here. I just don't trust Tampa Bay at all. There'll be a lot of Giant fans down there in Tampa Bay. I got to think the Giants are going to win this game. I like the Giants -2.5 at Tampa Bay down in Tampa. That's pick number 9. Pick number 10, let's go to San Francisco with the Atlanta Falcons on -4 against the San Francisco 49ers. Atlanta down to 6-2. They lost to Tampa Bay at home yesterday. Atlanta has not played well the last 3 weeks. I mean, they got obliterated by the Saints, barely beat Tennessee, and then they lose at home to Tampa. I thought for sure they were going to pull this game out yesterday, come up small. Atlanta not impressive the last few weeks. Now, speaking of not impressive, the Niners are 2-6, and they're going in the wrong direction, and they got blown out by St. Louis. I have to think Atlanta's offense is going to respond here. I mean, I've been waiting for them the last few weeks. What happened to this Atlanta offense that was great the first few weeks of the season? Last 3 weeks has gone to sleep. I have to think they're going to wake up here against a bad San Francisco team. So I'm going to take Atlanta -4 in San Francisco. Atlanta, I got to think your offense is going to wake up this week. So I'll take Atlanta there. That's pick number 10. Pick number 11. Let's go to Indianapolis with the Denver Broncos on -4.5 against the Indianapolis Colts. Denver, of course, perfect on the year, and they looked good last night against Green Bay. Their defense is awesome. They have the best secondary in football. Their pass rush is amazing. I mean, they still got the good wideouts. I mean, we know Peyton Manning's getting older, but he played well last night. If they ever get that running game going, Denver is a contender again. That defense has played well each and every game this year. Now, like I said, Indianapolis plays tonight. We got to see how they do. I got to like Denver here. I mean, Indianapolis has shown me very little this year. Luck's playing with broken ribs. That Denver defense can stop anybody. Look what they did to Rodgers yesterday. I got to like Denver here. I'll take Denver -4.5 against the Colts in Indy. Denver remains unbeaten. That's pick number 11. Pick number 12. Let's go to the Big D in Dallas with the Philadelphia Eagles on -2.5 against the Dallas Cowboys. Eagles are 3-4 coming off a bye week. Dallas down to 2-5. They've lost 5 in a row. They lose a heartbreaker to Seattle yesterday, a game where the defense played well and the offense just cannot move the ball at all. Castle did not play well. They did get Dez Bryant back. But, I mean, Castle just looks lost at quarterback. Whedon looked lost before that. They need Romo back in the worst way. I mean, Dallas, I mean, they are just hanging on now by a thread. That division is not great. Remember, the Giants are 4-4. Eagles 3-4. Washington 3-4. So Dallas is not that far out of it, but they got to start winning some games here. I mean, they haven't dropped to 2-6. That's a long road back. I think Philadelphia is going to win here. I think Philadelphia has been playing better the last few weeks, and I think Dallas just cannot move the ball consistently. Not with Castle, they can't, so I got to like Philadelphia here. I think Dallas is going to go to 2-6, and they're going to be in all sorts of trouble. And I like Dallas's team when they're healthy. With a healthy Romo, I think Dallas could be one of the better teams in the NFC. But, I mean, they have just been so beat up by injuries, and I have to think the Eagles and their offense are going to be able to score more points than Dallas here. I like the Eagles -2.5 in the Big D. That's pick number 12. And pick number 13, this is the last pick of the day. This is the Monday night game, believe it or not. The San Diego Chargers at home, -4 against the Chicago Bears. San Diego 2-6, lost to Baltimore yesterday. I mean, San Diego is just awful this year. Chicago not much better. They're 2-5. They lost to Minnesota. Listen, I don't know who's going to win this game. I'm not going to pick this game, but I'm going to pick the over in this game. Whatever the over is, I think both teams are going to score a boatload of points. Both teams have no defense. Whatever the over is, take it for this game. I don't know who's going to win this game. This will be one of these wacky, 37-34 games where Rivers throws 70 passes. I don't know who's going to win this game, but I'll take the over in this game in an awful Monday night game. That is one of the worst Monday night football games of the year. San Diego and Chicago, terrible game. So those are your picks. You have 6 teams with a bye this week. Detroit, who needs a bye in the worst way after they got obliterated in London by Kansas City. Kansas City has a bye. They've won a couple in a row, but they've still got a long way to go. Arizona has a bye. They're playing well. Seattle has a bye. They've now won a few in a row. They still got to get that offense cooking, but I never count out Seattle. Baltimore has a bye. They need it in the worst way. Now they lose Smith for the year. That's a terrible loss. And Houston has a bye as well. So 6 teams have a bye this week. So those are your picks for the NFL for week number 9. As of right now, I am 7 games over against the spread in the NFL this year, and that's picking each and every game, so you can't really complain about that. 7 games over 500 at this point against the spread, and that's picking every single game. All right, as far as the college football over the weekend, Notre Dame rallied and beat Temple in Philadelphia. Very nice crowd in Philadelphia to support Temple. Temple comes up a little short in that game. Stanford rallies and beats Washington State. How about the Miami game? Miami beats Duke. They lateral the ball 8 times. They score on this wild play. All the officials get suspended for the game because they say they blew, 1,000,001 calls. What a wacky ending that was. If you haven't seen it, go check that out somewhere. How about Michigan beating Minnesota? You want to talk about bad clock management? Michigan beats Minnesota by 3 points. Minnesota throws the ball down to the Michigan half-yard line. So Minnesota has the ball at the Michigan half-yard line, down 3 with 19 seconds left. What happens? Minnesota takes all day to run a play. The clock is running. Minnesota, first, they're under center. Then they're going out of shotgun. Clock's running the whole time. They finally get a playoff throw, an incomplete pass. Before you know it, there's only 2 seconds left in the game. Took them 17 seconds to run one play from the half-yard line. I mean, that's just atrocious clock management. Then I thought they were going to kick a field goal and send it into overtime on second down. No. They go for it. They get stuffed, and Michigan actually wins the game. I mean, you want to talk about bad clock management? And I know Minnesota's coach just had to step down, Coach Kill, because he had all those problems with the seizures. So these were the assistants running the show, but come on. These assistants have been around football their whole life. That was atrocious clock management. If you haven't seen that, go check that out. You'll be baffled by the way Minnesota handled the end of that game. So as bad as the loss was Michigan had 2 weeks ago to Michigan State, they had an improbable win here, so just wacky stuff there. Florida just absolutely bombed Georgia. I'll tell you, the Georgia coach is in big trouble. I don't know if he's going to survive. And Mississippi beat Auburn. Mississippi still controls their own destiny, believe it or not, in the SEC. Not a great week in college football at all. It was a light week. The last 2 weeks have been light. I only have 4 picks for you here in Week 10. You do have 3 decent games. But they're very hard to come up with some games in college football. Right now, I'm exactly 500 for the year in my college football picks against the spread. I've lost a lot of games where I've picked big favorites. They've won, but they just haven't covered the spread. A perfect example was Memphis last week. The spread was 29. They win by 28. That's happened to me like 10 times this year. So can't get a big feel for college football. There haven't been a lot of big games. There's been a lot of big point spreads. So I'm exactly 500 against the spread through 9 weeks of college football. Here's my picks for Week 10 in college football. I got 4 games. 3 of them are very big games. The first game, the Florida Gators at home, -20 against Vanderbilt. Florida is 7-1. They control the SEC East. If they win out, they will get to the championship game. Vanderbilt is 3-5, and they're not a good team at all. Florida should handle this Vanderbilt team, especially in the swamp, especially in Gainesville. I think Florida routs Vanderbilt. They just blew out Georgia. They should have no trouble with Vanderbilt at home. I like Florida big in the swamp. Florida at home, -20 against Vanderbilt. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2. Clemson is at home against Florida State. This game is off the board right now because the Florida State quarterback and running back are questionable. I would expect them both to play, but they are questionable right now. This is a huge game. Clemson undefeated. Remember, they're fighting for the Final Four playoff. Florida State has 1 loss. They're trying to get back into contention for that Final Four playoff. I'm going to take Clemson no matter what the spread ends up being. I think Clemson at home is going to be way too much for Florida State. I'm very impressed with this Clemson team. They never lose at home. And Florida State just lost 2 weeks ago at Georgia Tech, and Georgia Tech can't beat anyone. So I'll take Clemson at home against Florida State. That's pick number 2. That's a very, very important game. Pick number 3. Big 12 game. TCU -5 at Oklahoma State. Both teams undefeated. This is a very, very big game. I think this is going to be a, 52-49 game someone. No one plays any defense in the Big 12. They all score 1,000,000 points. I'll take Oklahoma State here +5 to at least keep it close. I think it'll be 52-49 someone. These Big 12 games are absolute shootouts, but I'll take Oklahoma State at home with the points to at least keep it close. That's pick number 3. Very important game there. And pick number 4, this is where College Game Day will be. This is the game of the day. The Alabama Crimson Tide are home, -7 against LSU. LSU undefeated. Alabama's lost once. This is a huge game for both teams. I mean, this should be a knock 'em out, drag 'em out, slugfest type of game. I'm going to take LSU +7. I think Alabama's going to win by 3. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'll take LSU to keep it close. I do think Alabama is going to squeak through here and win by 3. I think the spread's a little high. Alabama's played a lot of close games this year. Played a close game against Tennessee, close game against Arkansas. They lost to Mississippi, so they've had some close games this year. LSU, you know the way they play ground and pound. They run the ball, you know, with that great running back. They play good defense. They play conservatively. So I'm going to take LSU here to keep it close, although I do think Alabama will slip through and win by 3 in a huge, huge game. That's a must-watch game. That's where College Game Day is. So those are my 4 picks in college football. Clemson, Florida State, TCU, Oklahoma State, and Alabama, LSU are decent games. So you have some decent games this week in college football after 2 weeks that were just atrocious in college football. So those are your football picks. As far as the World Series, the Kansas City Royals win the World Series. They beat the New York Mets 4-1. They rally yet again last night. They're down 2-0 in the 9th inning. They scored 2 in the 9th to tie it. They win in extra innings. I'll tell you, Kansas City, you just could not kill them in this series. The Mets had leads late in the game in 3 different games, and they lost all of them. This series could have easily went the other way, but the Royals are so gritty. I mean, they don't hit a lot of home runs, but they keep putting the ball in play. They're never out of the game. They never quit. Remember, they were in the World Series last year and lost, so they were hungry for this World Series. So great job by the Royals. Very resilient team. Their middle relief was spectacular. They made all the big plays. Their defense was great. So great job by the Royals. Hey, listen, the Mets had their chances in this World Series. The Mets, though, had a fabulous year, and their future is bright. They have so many young pitchers. They're going to be good for years and years to come, the Mets. But they definitely had their chances in this series. They definitely let some leads slip away. This series could have definitely been flipped. The Mets could have easily, been leading in this series. They definitely could. They let so many leads slip away, but the Mets' future is bright. They had a fabulous season. So even though they lost here, I think the Mets' future is very, very bright. But this is about the Kansas City Royals. Gritty, gutty. I mean, what a really, really good team. I mean, an old school team. They don't hit a lot of home runs. I mean, they play good defense. They move guys up. They steal some bases. They, get 4 singles in an inning. They're that type of team. Gritty, gutty team. Great job by the Kansas City Royals. They deserve it. Congratulations to them and their fans. So that was the World Series. That puts a bow on baseball. I wanted to mention 2 other things real quick. American Pharoah wins the Breeders' Cup Classic. What a horse he was. Wins the Triple Crown and the Breeders' Cup. What a tremendous horse. You're not going to see a horse like that in a long, long time. Tremendous job by American Pharoah. And I did want to mention rugby, the Rugby World Cup. New Zealand did beat Australia. I'll tell you, New Zealand is one of those classic teams, like the Yankees in baseball, or the Celtics in basketball, or Montreal in hockey, or the Patriots in football, or Manchester United in soccer. New Zealand rugby is one of those teams as they win yet another World Cup, beating Australia. So New Zealand wins it, Australia finishes second, South Africa finishes third. Those are the 3 best teams in rugby. So congratulations to New Zealand. They are a classic, classic team. Okay, there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. You have your Monday Night Football game tonight. You have your picks for the week. Thanks as always for the support. You guys are the best. You guys stay happy, healthy, and safe. Enjoy the games. Pick a lot of winners. Make a lot of money. I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care.